Hi everyone, my name is Joe Tyrrell and welcome back to the Undercut, the GPblog podcast. Last weekend in Bahrain, it featured a safety car finish, Vettel binned it once again and Renault embarrassed themselves. Charles Leclerc was denied a maiden F1 win. Joining me in the studio to talk you through everything F1, we have our reliable panel of experts. We'll preview next weekend's Chinese Grand Prix, we'll give you some F1 fantasy tips, and finally we'll have another heated debate in the hot take section. This is the 2019 season, episode 2.
Valtteri, it's James.
Come on. Get it, Joe. Oh, and that's going to ruin the undercut attempt. Woo! The undercut.
Joining me this week, once again, I have Nicolás Quarles van Ufford and Adam Newton. Guys, how are we and did we enjoy the Grand Prix this weekend?
Probably one of the races of the season, in my opinion. I enjoyed it very much.
Yeah, great race.
It was a very, very good race. Absolutely devastating for Charles Leclerc. But you've both looked through the internet, through the depths of the World Wide Web, and you've picked out some of the hottest F1 stories for me over the last 7 days or so. Adam, I'll come to you first. Mick Schumacher,
yeah. Big story. Obviously, we all know he's Ralph Schumacher's nephew.
That's the only place we know him from.
Yeah.
Michael's son. Tested for Ferrari and Alfa Romeo this week in Bahrain. I believe he did okay for Ferrari on Tuesday.
Yeah.
And did fine for Alfa on Wednesday. And yeah, it's a good thing. You know, it's great to see. We've seen a lot of stars of Formula One sons come through. Nico Rosberg, Nelson Piquet Jr. Not always been as talented as you expect, but Schumacher had his first F2 race last weekend.
Yeah, I was going to say, not only testing in Formula One, but
yeah.
he was on pole.
Well, on reverse grid
Wow.
pole. So he got a P8 and a P6, which is a solid start to his F2 career. So it's good to see. It's a good throwback, if you like.
Understandably, with that name comes a lot of pressure and responsibility. Is he as good as everyone's making it out to be, or is it just the name, Nick?
I think it's a little bit of both. Obviously, you can't get to where he is now if you don't have any talent. But there are a lot of accusations from the likes of Daniel Ticktum, his rival in Formula 3 last year, that his car was simply just rigged to be better than the rest of the field. Well, yeah, and in Formula 2, maybe the same could happen because, yeah, the Formula 2 do love to push the bigger names forward a little bit. And what his name did get him is that this Ferrari test, obviously, because Ferrari and F1, everyone knows that everyone will lose their minds if they see a Schumacher's son in a Ferrari. So his name does get him quite a long way, I think. But there is, he won the Formula 3 championship, so credit where credit's due, I think.
It's potentially a marketing stunt, if you like, from Ferrari.
Yeah, I mean,
you know,
very
Mick Schumacher,
clever,
son
yeah.
of Michael, everyone loves Michael, and you know, gains an interest in Ferrari.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. Sticking with testing, unfortunately, we spoke about it previously, Esteban Ocon wasn't testing for Mercedes, but a certain George Russell was. Must be a bit of a kick in the teeth for Esteban?
Yeah, it's. I think it's quite remarkable that Ocon is not testing. Russell, of course, is also part of the Mercedes family, as is Ocon, and I do understand from Mercedes' point of view that during these in-season tests, you're required to have young drivers, and the definition of a young driver for the FIA is someone who has a maximum of 2 Grand Prix of experience. Obviously, Russell would qualify for that, and Ocon wouldn't. But still, Ocon is completely out of the picture now, and that's really painful for him and for a lot of F1 fans, including myself, because I do really like him. I just hope this doesn't result in him going back to like DTM or something where he was before. I really want him to get a seat, preferably at Mercedes, to put some pressure on Hamilton. Yeah, but it's remarkable that they don't let Ocon even do the tests. You know, he should get some time in a Mercedes.
Yeah, I agree with you, but on Russell, he was top on Wednesday, fastest time.
Yeah.
I know he's in a Mercedes, but he was quicker than Vettel, 0.3 quicker than Vettel in the Ferrari. So Russell looks a very good driver, and potentially he could rival Ocon for a Mercedes seat next year. Let's not rule that out if he's
Finally getting a chance to show what he can do.
Yeah,
in a proper car, let's be honest.
He's beaten Kubica twice in the Williams, but let's be honest, second last is the best he can do.
I remember Russell topping the timetables last season as well in Hungary during the test there. But, I mean, Ocon has so much more experience. I mean, I think it's a bit of a no-brainer if you're going to pick between those two that you will pick Ocon, because if you're a team like Mercedes, Russell would be a little bit of a risk, you know? He looks all right in a Williams, but yeah, that doesn't really say much, does it? So I would assume Ocon would get the seat over Russell, but this is a little bit of a concerning sign for Ocon. That's why I want to flag it up.
Yeah, absolutely. One of our big losers, Esteban Ocon, already in the news. We'll move on to Bahrain now. What a race. I think it could be up there with one of the races of the season. We're only 2 races in, Adam.
Well, it's the race of the season so far.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, it was fantastic. We had battles at the front, battles in the middle, retirements at the end, safety car at the end. Yeah, it was a terrific race. We saw lots of overtakes, lots of strategy calls, and I mean, it's just, you got to feel sorry for Charles Leclerc.
Absolutely. He was absolutely brilliant all weekend. Pretty much dominated every sessional bar 1 or 2.
Yeah, he
was
won,
really harsh.
He won 2 of the 3 practice sessions, put his car on pole by 0.2 margin, I think. And, well, after a bit of a sloppy start, got right back in it, fought back, and ran away.
That was the impressive thing for me, was he didn't let Vettel and I think Bottas went past him as well. He didn't let that get to him, and he kept on going.
Oh yeah, his moves on Bottas and then on Vettel were really, really good, without DRS even. Leclerc has already shown so many signs of maturity, of racecraft, of talent, of just, you know, being able to improvise. It's incredible just how good he is already at such a young age and with such a lack of experience. And for his maiden win to be ripped away like this, it's really, really, really cruel. But at the same time, the way he responded to it, you know, you could tell he was a little bit panicked during the race when it first happened, but he was so collected at the end of a race. He was immediately, you know, like, guys, let's focus on the Chinese Grand Prix now, we'll bounce back. He wasn't, you know, like someone like Gasly would probably start crying or throw his steering wheel out of the window. Well, there's no window, but
I think Leclerc knows that he's going to get way more chances to win races.
Yeah.
At the end of Charles Leclerc's career, potentially, perhaps hopefully, we're going to look back and say, oh yeah, Charles Leclerc, he's won X amount of races, he got 2 or 3 titles, and you're not going to think about this Bahrain race again.
Yeah. No, but what strikes me is that usually a young guy like Hamilton in his rookie season or Verstappen now, I think they would like be very upset because of the bad luck, and they would throw a tantrum or something. And how cool Leclerc was really, really struck me.
I know it's different circumstances, but Verstappen in Brazil last year when he went mad at Ocon.
Yeah, exactly. Or Verstappen last year in, I think it was Hungary, when his car stopped working and the bleeping machine was working overtime then.
Absolutely. So it was definitely a mixed race, a mixed weekend for Charles Leclerc, but his teammate, Sebastian Vettel, absolutely cracked under the pressure.
Yeah. Spinning in a battle with Hamilton. I mean, how often do we see top drivers go wheel to wheel? I mean, almost every race, 2 top drivers will go wheel to wheel, and they're so good, you don't expect them to spin. There was no contact in that move. Vettel just dropped it. He just lost it.
Yeah, he was nowhere near him because he'd already gone past.
Yeah, he'd already gone past him. And I think how Vettel just, in that split second, he tried too hard. He tried too hard to keep that place instead of thinking, all right, I'll get him back at the next corner or on the next DRS straight. He just like panicked and thought, I need this space back.
Nick, do you think it was Vettel, was it, as Adam said, cracking under the pressure? Or do you think it was bad luck, he just happened to spin out?
No, it was definitely his fault. But I do want to mention that before that happened, he was defending very well against Hamilton. He blocked a couple of moves already very, very bravely. But yeah, that this fault was completely his. It wasn't his car. It was just him slamming the throttle too early, spinning out, no traction control, obviously.
It looks like it's another sign of the mistakes that cost Ferrari last season.
Yeah, but at the same time, you know, I just mentioned him defending, and you can also mention Vettel's start was brilliant. It looked like he had traction control in his car. He flew away, and he flew past Leclerc. So it's not like Vettel is not a good driver anymore. It's just that he starts making these mistakes now just a little bit too often.
Titles are won and lost on these mistakes. Yeah. How many times did we see Vettel spin last year? He spun with Hamilton in Italy,
Well, the one in
Verstappen
Germany.
in Japan, the one in Germany cost him 25 points.
And Hamilton simply does not make these mistakes. He never ever makes mistakes. It's boring, but his consistency is devastating. It's remarkable.
It's unbelievable.
It really is. Like we're throwing around superlatives here, but it really is quite remarkable how little mistakes he makes. He's a machine, the guy.
A bit of German ruthlessness, we could say. Mercedes.
Yeah.
It was a bizarre weekend for them because they didn't really deserve to win, but they've come away with a 1-2.
Yeah, well, first of all, I just want to say the Mercedes pit crew clapping when they overtook a broken Ferrari. Just cut it out. Just, I don't know.
Have words.
Yeah, I mean...
Hamilton didn't look like he wanted to take the win either, did he?
No, well, he
happy.
didn't. He obviously wanted to take the win.
Yeah, but...
and he did, I think, credit to Hamilton. He did very well to get himself in that position. He overtook Bottas very well, overtook Vettel very well. And he's just an opportunist. The opportunity arose and he took it. And yeah, that's what champions do.
Yeah, I'm not sure you can call Mercedes 1-2 undeserved, because at the end of the day, they might not have been the fastest car, but they were the most reliable car. They didn't spin the car. The drivers kept it on the track.
Yeah.
So surely it all adds up, and Mercedes did deserve the 1-2 in the end. One
thing I did like about Hamilton, we talk about Hamilton being ingenuine and fake a lot, but what I really liked about him after the race is his race engineer came on the radio saying, "Oh, well, great race, Lewis, great weekend, blah, blah," and Lewis was immediately like, "No, Ferrari were quicker. We just got lucky here. We need to
being realistic.
Yeah, we need to be on top of this. Ferrari were the quicker car. We need to develop more." And that kind of stuff, really, I like that about Hamilton. He's always
trying to get to the next level, isn't he?
Yeah, he's just always pushing. That
model professional.
Yeah, exactly.
Absolutely. A team we haven't mentioned yet, which is surprising, really, considering they dominated most of the news last weekend. Red Bull. Verstappen finished 4th, but a really, really bizarre weekend for them.
Yeah, well, let's just say Verstappen would have secured a podium place if that late safety car hadn't happened. A bit of Renault revenge there, like saying, "No, Verstappen, well, we don't want Red Bull getting a podium, we'll just break both our cars down to stop it happening." It wasn't a great weekend. 4th and 8th Gasly was. Gasly's not on the pace. We talked about him a lot last week. Verstappen's, I guess, doing what he can, showing how much better he is than Pierre Gasly.
Last week we were saying how Honda, they'd done well to get this car, and even Toto Wolff was saying, "Well, look, we've got to pay serious attention to this Honda because it's obviously got pace," and they were just well off it this weekend.
Yeah, they were. I will say Bahrain has always been a bad track for Red Bull, even if in the glory days with Vettel winning all those titles. Bahrain has always been a difficult track for them. But still, they were just stuck in no man's land, as we've seen in previous years. And it's another case of Red Bull starting the year off slowly and having to outdevelop Ferrari and Mercedes to get themselves back in the mix. And if they genuinely want to go for the Constructors' Championship, you can't have this, like, having a bad track thing. That can't happen. You need to extract as many points in every single track, and already being as far behind as they are, even though Verstappen is in 3rd in the Drivers' Championship, it looks like it's another year of P3 for them, which is disappointing.
After so much promise, that is definitely disappointing, but I don't think they'll be caught by the midfield, and we'll come on to them now. It was a fascinating weekend in the midfield, actually. Lando Norris, P6, has had a very, very strong start in that McLaren. What do we make of that, Nick?
Yeah, back-to-back Q3s for a teenager in a McLaren. It's quite remarkable. Let's see how it holds up after the first updates roll through in Spain. But yeah, he's been really, really impressive. He's definitely been the best rookie out of the bunch of them. And Norris, yeah, what can you say? That move, it's disappointing that the TV directory didn't show that move he did on the outside. I don't know if you've seen that on Twitter.
What a move.
That was pretty move. So he definitely has the confidence. He has the racecraft. He has the speed to put his car in Q3 in both places. So yeah, McLaren might genuinely be in the conversation for best of the rest of the season.
McLaren are back.
That's a bit too early to say. Carlos Sainz 0 points in 2 races.
Yeah. But Carlos Sainz, bad reliability from his side. But we mentioned Renault, bad reliability. At one point, they were running 6th and 8th before Ricciardo dropped down to 10th.
Yeah.
And then both
Lights went out.
Yeah, just both cars failing within a couple
the
of
same
laps.
time.
Well, yeah, the same time.
On the same corner, wasn't it?
Yeah.
When I was watching it, I thought they were filming the same car because it literally happened at the same time. They cut from one car to the other, and they were like standing in a similar position. It took me a couple of seconds to register that there was both separate cars just retiring at the same time. It's ridiculous.
No, it's really disappointing. They've got only a P7 for Hülkenberg to show for 2 whole races.
Yeah.
And they're behind. Well, in the Constructors' Championship, they're behind Haas, McLaren, Alfa Romeo. It doesn't look too great.
One thing I want to flag up as well is Renault have had 3 mechanical retirements now in 2 races between their own cars and the McLaren of Sainz in Australia. That's very, very worrying. I've heard people calling for Cyril Abitable's head already, which is quite a big
premature. Is it?
It's a big call to make. Well, I don't know if it is premature. The guy, I mean, maybe he's a good businessman, but there's no arguing that the performance hasn't been where it should be in terms of the engine, at least. So why not? Yeah, I don't know. I'm starting to think that maybe I'm starting to develop an agenda against the guy because he keeps making this excuse. He keeps saying, "Oh, we're Renault. We're the biggest car brand in F1." Blah blah blah. But
if you're the biggest car brand in F1, why have you not got a good engine?
Yeah,
right.
Exactly.
I'll pose this question to you, Adam. Have Renault gone backwards, or have the rest of the midfield gone forwards?
Oh, that is a tough question. I'd say Renault have gone backwards, but McLaren, Alfa have also come forwards. So it's that it's the mixture of Renault going backwards and the others coming on. Renault are definitely not the same outfit that got P4 in the Constructors' Championship last year, but then you look where Alfa Romeo were this time last year as Sauber. I think Ericsson had a P9 in Bahrain, didn't he, last year? And that was a bit lucky. And then McLaren looked better, and then Haas are still up there. I think it's looking tough for Renault, and it's looking tough for Daniel Ricciardo. Big move.
Yeah, Renault were not even mentioning midfield ahead of the season. They were all about closing the gap to the top 3, and they're 7th now. So what does that say about them? It's a reality check. Haas are beating them handsomely at this point. They're big rivals. McLaren are beating them. Alfa are beating them. I think it kind of shows that whoever has the better and the most talented drivers maybe wins. I don't know.
Especially that might be the margin that it comes down to in that midfield, who has the better driver, because Kimi Räikkönen's been gone under the radar a little bit, I think.
Yeah, gone under the radar, but has been terrific. Yeah, he's got 2 points finishes. He's been in Q3. We know Kimi Räikkönen is a brilliant driver. He had I know he's only had 1 race win in 5 years at Ferrari. He was, but listen, he's consistent. He's quality. He's a world champion. He's a 20+ time Grand Prix winner, and that talent doesn't go away.
So we've already discussed that Charles Leclerc was probably the biggest loser of the weekend, but we're going to talk you through the other biggest winners and losers. Adam, you described him as Hamilton 2.0.
Hamilton 2.0.
Oh my god.
Lando Norris.
What do you love about him so much?
Can you tell Adam likes McLaren? Jesus.
No, Lando Norris is so impressive for his age. Nick mentioned him a minute ago. To be 19 and performing in the top 10, that move on one of the Red Bulls, it was Gasly, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Round the outside. I've never seen a move, quite like that in Formula One all the time I've been watching it, especially at that corner in Bahrain. And he just looks good. He's got 2 Q3 appearances. He's got points. He was positive in the first race in Australia despite not getting points. And I think he is an extremely talented young driver who is going places.
Hamilton 2.0, so he's going to win at least 5 championships.
At least.
That's pretty bold. That's pretty bold. But Nick, you wanna highlight a slightly different type of winner, the fans. It was definitely one for the fans this weekend.
Yeah, really cheesy answer, but I do really think that the neutral fan at least.
One for the neutral, as they say.
I mean, any kind of Ferrari fan will disagree with me here, but this race had a little bit of everything. You had plenty of retirements. You had contact at the start. You had tons of overtaking, somewhere in the 90s, I think. You had McLaren doing well again. You had drama at the end with Ferrari there. You drama at the end with Renault there. You had Verstappen almost making it to the podium, so a little bit there for the Dutch fans, I guess. It was just such a great watch. I mean, anyone who would have watched it will agree that this was objectively a good race. So the fans, big winner for me.
Definitely, Adam. Do you agree?
Yeah, fans are really big winner because it's what we want in Formula One. We want good racing, and that was good racing in Bahrain last weekend.
Absolutely. Another Brit, that was a big winner. Bit more under the radar as a winner, though, this
I wouldn't
weekend.
say big winner, but I think his stock has improved. Yeah. He's George Russell. He's beaten Robert Kubica twice. I know he's had 7 or 8 years, whatever it is, out, but more experienced, older, more mature teammate. And George Russell looks very mature. He looks very good, and I guess he's been rewarded with the Mercedes testing that we were just talking about a minute ago.
I love how every time he gets asked, he previews or reviews a Grand Prix, he just talks about, oh yeah, I just look forward to going on the track. He's like never mentions performance.
I wonder when he's going to turn and say, oh yeah, I'm really enjoying racing, but I'd quite like to see another car.
I'd like to win sometime. Or...
I'd like to get out of second last.
Do you think he'll score points in that Williams this year?
Do you think he'll score a point in the Williams? Oof, well,
we got
Sergei Sorokin got a point for Williams last year. Let's say George Russell will score a point somewhere this season. I reckon he's going to sneak a P10.
No.
You know, when there's a collision on the first lap, 3 drivers are out, a couple more retire, Williams have got a better package. I'm going to pick Singapore.
Nick?
First lap crash, safety car, he's getting a point.
No, never, no. No points.
Right, another question. Will he maintain his outperforming of Robert Kubica all season? Well, for the majority of the season.
That's a tough one. Kubica's getting back used to F1, but then but then Russell has never raced F1. So I think it'll be a tight battle between the two of them, but I can see Russell coming out on top. He's young, he's exuberant, he's passionate. I think he could do it.
Right, Nick, a loser for you. Your homeboy, Max Verstappen.
This must hurt.
It does hurt. No,
he's not P4, but
no, I mean this in the sense that Max went into this year. The car was built for him. Honda were promising to be almost level in performance with the Mercedes and Ferrari engine, and he got a podium in Australia, and we thought, all right, we'll mount a series title challenge with him now. And Bahrain is a reality check, and at the same time, it must also be quite annoying for him to see Leclerc, who's in his second season already getting a pole, and Verstappen's in his 5th season still doesn't have that pole position. Leclerc also instantaneously challenging for wins already, is in a better car. That must be annoying for Verstappen, I think. And I genuinely think if this season is going to go like last season for Red Bull, Verstappen will look at his options for at the end of this contract.
Could you potentially say it was a mistake on Verstappen's behalf to sign a new long-term deal with Red Bull?
I think there's also a thing of loyalty there. Verstappen's been a part of the Red Bull family for a long time, before F1 as well.
They gave him his break as well.
Yeah, they gave him his break at 17, his massive leap of faith. And there's some loyalty there, and I think he bought into the idea of the team being built around him for the first time, him being the clear number one for the first time, and the Honda factor. I think he talked himself into it, and if the season doesn't go according to plan, he might think about his future now. Maybe go to Ferrari, maybe go to Mercedes if a spot opens up there.
False promises almost with Honda, maybe promising too much.
Yeah, but we're only 2 races in. Let's not jump to conclusions yet. There's plenty of time for Honda to bolt on some big upgrades and get more competitive. Helmut Marko said that their chassis isn't what they expected it. We always think Red Bull chassis is fantastic.
Yeah.
All their aero is perfect. It's just the engine, but according to Helmut Marko, now the engine's perfect and the chassis isn't. So
yeah, it's always something. But I'm not gonna get Gasly get away with this again. He's a big loser.
He was in for it last week, and he's in for it this week.
Adam defended him. He bravely defeated Brendan Hartley in 2018, as Adam mentioned. But no,
he's having a shocker.
Yeah, P8 and the Renaults. It is flattering P8 as well because of the Renault thing. I get that he struggles to understand the car, but P8 in a Red Bull is just not good enough.
Only just ahead of Alex
Yeah.
Albon.
We're not making it to Q3 either.
Yeah.
That
Again.
alarm bells again.
That's baffling.
Q3.
Yeah.
Qualified in
Should've-
P13 behind Albon in the Toro Rosso. He was stuck behind the Toro Rossos for a long time. Actually, I think it was Albon or Kvyat who made a fantastic move on Gasly again. Gasly's just not good enough, really. I wonder.
Is he even good enough for Formula One?
Well, I think he is. That's I think going a bit too
That's
far.
harsh.
But
Maybe
we
that's a
all
hot
know.
take.
We all know Red Bull love to paint a target on the backs of the drivers. They don't mind axing someone, and if this continues, him finishing behind 2 midfield cars just ahead of a Toro Rosso by a couple of seconds, by 4.5 seconds, it won't. I don't think he will last much longer. Even though ahead of the season they said we know who will take a while, but this is. Yeah, I think they set that as a bit of a buffer. He needs to improve. This is P8 in a Red Bull, man. I can't get over that. It's so, I don't know.
Well, Pierre, if you're listening, you've not won us over yet.
No.
Adam, they were probably the favourites for the best of the rest this year, but you're losers. Haas.
Haas, yeah. No car in the points. No points for Haas this week.
Grosjean again.
Grosjean in an accident. Was it his fault? Wasn't it his fault? I don't know. It's a bit of a racing incident, I think, Grosjean's accident. But what happened to Kevin Magnussen in that race? I believe he came home P12?
13.
P13.
Yeah.
Didn't he qualify 6th?
Yeah.
Yeah. To lose 7 spots.
Apparently, he was struggling massively with his tires.
Yeah, that's really, really disappointing, because we think of Haas as this, upcoming new class team. They looked good last year, got a bit of bad luck. You think this year, right, Haas are going to kick on and they're going to do a lot better, but P13 and a retirement for Grosjean.
Well, unlucky retirement.
But
for
unlucky,
Grosjean.
but 2-2 for Grosjean, unfortunately for him.
Isn't that a little harsh? Because they did qualify in P6 and P8. Yes, Grosjean got the penalty and was moved to P11, but
Yeah.
P6 and P8 is quite impressive.
It's impressive, but you don't get any points for qualifying.
Yeah, that's true.
Unless you're playing fantasy,
Yes.
which we'll come to later.
Yay.
But another team that, Nick, are just not good enough. We've spoken about them so much already. Bit of a mess at Renault, really.
Yeah, we already talked about Renault, so I won't go in too much detail. But as I said, they were focusing this year on closing the gap to the top 3 rather than winning the best of the rest. And for them to have this double retirement, yeah, head scratcher at least if you're putting it lightly. If you're putting it
I know someone
hardly,
who probably is scratching their head. It's Daniel Ricciardo.
yeah.
Why am I here?
Renault need to get their priorities right.
And-
Win that midfield battle and
they're
dominate midfield
And they're
first.
fighting. They were fighting. Well, not like physically fighting, but they're fighting on the track as well. There was a little bit of contact between them into turn 1 when Hulkenberg made a move on Ricciardo. Ricciardo went a little bit wide, came back, and I think his front wing clipped Hulkenberg, or the other way around. And on the radio, you could genuinely hear Hulkenberg being like surprised, like, "What was that?" Like, not in an angry way, but in a surprising way. Like, why is he fighting me this hard? Yeah, Renault need to get their act together. Abitable need to get his act together. Not good enough. P7 for Renault out of 10. Well, out of 9, because I don't count Williams anymore. As,
Formula 2 team, are
yeah,
they?
it's
Formula 2.
Yeah.
Right, so moving on to China now. We'll quickly recap what happened last year. So, Ricciardo took the win after overtaking the entire field. Verstappen and Vettel collided. Red Bull were nowhere near good enough, but got a lucky virtual safety car and could pit where Mercedes and Ferrari couldn't. Nick, talk us through the track. What could we see and expect?
Yeah, the track itself is quite a cool one. Really a driver's track. A lot of straights, very long back straight. I particularly love the first corner. It's a really long, winding right-hander. Starts a little bit as not really a corner, and then it goes really sharply. A lot of accidents happened there. Danny Kvyat earned his torpedo nickname there. And for the rest, it's quite a bendy track, quite technical with some back straights. So it's a nice combination of straights and cornering. So Red Bull should be good here, I think, with the new Honda engine, because normally they'd struggle a little bit on the straights. So I'm hoping, as a very biased Dutch fan, that Red Bull will pick up the pace here.
Is it a hot take to say that China is one of my least favourite tracks on the calendar?
I would say so, yeah.
I don't like that big snail turn 1 and turn 2.
Why not?
I just think it goes on forever. And just like, come on, just get round the corner and into the next section.
So impatient.
It just takes so long.
Kids these days.
Adam, are there any teams who have a particular advantage in China?
I don't know. I think China is one of those tracks. It's quite balanced. You know, you can't. It's difficult to predict it. So it'll be the top teams again. You know, I think it will be mostly as expected. Yeah.
Well, Leclerc will definitely have a point to prove here in China. He will definitely want to bounce back after, and Vettel as well. I think Ferrari will have a chip on their shoulder. Ferrari will come back as strong as they can. They need to make a statement now. Mercedes, have finished 1-2 in both of the first 2 races. Ferrari need to come back. They need to put the hammer down.
They're way behind.
Way behind
already. We're only 2 races in.
Yeah, we're 2 races in, and they're already almost 40 points behind. They're 39 points behind.
That's
I think
quite a lot.
1 podium.
That's a 1-2.
Yeah, Ferrari need just a statement performance. I said that last time as well, but seriously, this time.
The top 3 get enough love. The midfielder is debatably the tightest it's been for years.
This midfield is impossible.
So good.
It's impossible to
McLaren
predict.
have set the pace so far. Do we expect them to
Alpha
do it
are
again?
4th.
Are they?
Kimi
Okay.
Raikkonen is 4th because he's gotten all the points for them.
Yeah.
But
Joe
Alpha, I expect.
Giovinazzi's not set the world on fire. Let's put it that way.
Yeah, good-looking guy, but not a great driver. I expect Kimi to do well here again. That Ferrari-powered Sauber. I keep saying Sauber. That Ferrari-powered
Alfa Romeo Racing.
Yeah. I will keep saying Sauber for the next 2 years probably. Now I expect Alfa to set the pace for the midfield this time. I said this in Bahrain, but the Ferrari-powered cars in midfield tend to do better. In 2019 at least, we've seen it in Barcelona in testing. We've seen it in Australia, and for McLaren, it will just be a case of finishing the race. Carlos Sainz has been so unlucky so far. I hope he can finish the race and show that, you know, that little British teenager is not the boss of him.
Lewis Hamilton 2.0.
Yeah.
No, I think following on from the Ferrari engine thing that Nick was saying, Haas probably in a good position. We know Kevin Magnussen's an aggressive driver. We know he's a good driver. Didn't particularly show it in Bahrain. Hopefully Roman Grosjean.
Gets a bit more luck.
I'm a big fan of Roman Grosjean. Have been since he came into F1. Don't ask me why.
The head of the Roman Grosjean.
I think Haas could do a good job. I think they really want to prove something. They've only got 1 points finish to show for 2 races. And Haas versus Alpha is my tip for best of the rest, shall we say.
Haas versus Alpha. No McLaren, no Renault, no Toro Rosso or Racing Point.
McLaren will be up there. Racing Point, can't see them being up there. You never know.
Right, so a bit of a milestone, you might not know that's occurring at the next Grand Prix. The 1000th Grand Prix. Does that change anything at all?
No.
A Grand Prix is a Grand Prix.
Look, it will be a trivia question in 10 years when you're sitting in a pub somewhere. But apart from that, it would have been nice for it to have been at a Silverstone or a Monaco or something like that, like a classic track. It's a bit of a shame for it to be in China, which has been on the calendar since 2004, if I remember correctly.
The Heineken Grand Prix.
Is it?
It's the Heineken Grand Prix, yeah.
Well, I don't know what to do with that information. It's a number. You know, it's a nice round number for all the OCD people out there. But apart from that, I don't really see any added value to it.
We're not going to see a stunning Williams performance because of this.
Rolling back the years.
Yeah.
Roll out the 1993 Williams.
Yeah, put Nigel Mansell back in it.
Right then, lads, let me get your top 3 predictions for the Heineken, specifically the Heineken Chinese Grand Prix. Adam, we'll start with you.
Oh, put me on the spot now. I'm going to back a recovery from Charles Leclerc. He is going to win the Heineken Chinese Grand Prix.
We're not sponsored by Heineken. Why do we keep saying Heineken?
Heineken, hit us up.
Other beer brands are available.
I wouldn't mind a sponsorship.
Drink responsibly, though.
Charles Leclerc is going to win the race. Lewis Hamilton come home in second after a tight battle with Sebastian Vettel, who will complete the podium.
Who takes the fastest lap?
Who takes the fastest lap? That is so difficult
Gets
to
that bonus
predict.
point.
Valtteri Bottas.
That would be a second one. Nick, how about you?
Ferrari 1-2. Sebastian Vettel, who got ruined last year by Max Verstappen in that hairpin, will take a victory with his mustache. Make it 2 out of 3.
Not sure I'm a fan of that moustache, but
Make it 2 out of 3 wins for people with facial hair. And Leclerc.
Is that the new championship? Beards versus non-beards?
I guess Hamilton has a little bit of a
the
beard.
bearded title.
No, and Leclerc second. So Ferrari 1-2, Vettel, Leclerc, and third place Bottas ahead of Hamilton.
Oh, that is
So
why not?
hot call.
Bottas is leading the Grand Prix.
I mean, Bottas was so
Nick
lukewarm in
leading the title race.
Yeah, and Bottas.
And Hamilton
No,
forever.
Hamilton will get the fastest lap though, and
Okay.
and complain about his tires the whole race.
When he's not winning, he's complaining. No, that's harsh.
It's not harsh.
Right, that's Adam and Nick's pick. We'll move on to Fantasy F1 now.
My pick for the next Grand Prix will be Leclerc.
Ooh.
Clearly, Ferrari have no problems. What I thought last time is Ferrari have that clear 1-2. Vettel's first driver, Leclerc second driver, but clearly they don't have a problem with Leclerc winning races.
Well, they said that before when he qualified on pole, didn't they? That Leclerc will be allowed to race.
Yeah, exactly. So as long as Leclerc, I guess, outqualifies Vettel, he'll be allowed to win. And even though I'm contradicting myself again here because I said Vettel would
said
win.
Vettel to win.
Yeah.
But you
I
get
think
points for overtakes.
Yeah, but I think Leclerc's the safer bet of the two because Vettel is a bit mistake prone.
And he's a bit cheaper.
Yeah.
Save yourself some money.
Exactly.
There you go. This is where the knowledge comes
The
in.
real tactics.
Yeah, exactly. Right, Adam, your pick is?
I'm going to pick someone to avoid. I'm going to say, it pains me to say it, you should be avoiding Romain Grosjean.
Okay.
Didn't score a point in the first 8 races of last season. Hasn't scored a point yet. He's had terrible luck. Yeah, maybe he's due a result, but can you rely on Romain Grosjean?
Not only do you get to pick a driver, you get to pick a constructor. Now, I'll be surprised if anyone's picked anyone other than the top 3. But who's your constructors to pick for this weekend?
Go for a top team. They will get you a solid haul of points. Yeah, Ferrari or Mercedes are your best bets. They're expensive. Alpha, maybe cheaper. If you're running out of money, you've got 3 big hitters in your team, go for Alpha. That's my tips.
Yeah, exactly.
Yep.
Pick Mercedes if you have budget left. If you don't have budget left, Alfa Romeo at 9.5 million is the most sensible option for me. They're cheaper in Racing Point, which is a no-brainer. Then they're
Cheaper than Racing Point?
Yeah, they're cheaper.
Wow.
They're cheaper than Renault as well. Yeah, so I would pick Alfa.
Mercedes and also Kimi Räikkönen as my turbo driver.
I think we've all got Kimi Räikkönen as our turbo drivers.
We actually.
Yeah.
I mean, I all I know is I had it since the start.
Wow. Yeah, but didn't you also have Daniel Ricciardo as
Yeah.
your turbo driver at 1 week?
No.
So if you want to join us and play the Fantasy F1 League with us, we've got our own league you can join. We'll leave a link and the code in the description below. So feel free to join us and hopefully you can make Adam go even further down the leaderboard, but don't try and outdo me at the
I'm
top.
still second.
Right, so it's the hot take section now. This is the part of the show where I give an idea or a theory to both of these wonderful gentlemen next to me, and they will debate it. One of them will defend it, one of them will try to debunk it, and I'll decide a winner at the end of the time limit. This week, Adam, you're going to be defending Charles Leclerc and making his claim for a number 1 driver at Ferrari, whilst Nick, you're going to be backing the German Sebastian Vettel and why he should be remaining as Ferrari's main man. At the end of the time limit, you'll hear this sound.
Stop it. How long is the time limit, Joe?
You'll have 30 seconds.
Okay.
30 seconds to
Woof.
make your claim, and then I'll decide who's won at the end. Right, Adam, if you will, I will give you 30 seconds. Your time starts now.
Charles Leclerc, the Monegasque. He's a fantastic driver. How many drivers have we seen absolutely dominate Vettel? I know Ricciardo did it, yeah, all right, fine, but no one else has done it in their Formula 1 career. Leclerc's come in, put pressure on him in race 1, taken pole in race 2, should have got the win. Leclerc is unbelievable. F2 champion, dominated it. Brilliant for Sauber last year. Charles Leclerc is the future. He is the man for Ferrari that can take on Red Bull and Max Verstappen and anyone else in the field.
That's your time up, Adam. That was very tight. Lovely use of the word Monegasque in there. I'll give you
yes.
that. That's certainly a nice one. Nick, you're going to defend Sebastian Vettel. It's not been a good start for him, but you've got to back your boy here.
Yeah.
This is it, right?
Love an unpopular opinion.
Nick, your time to defend Vettel starts now.
Imagine a world where we live in where we actually think a driver who's never won a race is better than a 4-time world champion. That's the reality we live in with Adam Newton, my colleague here, who's seriously claiming that someone who has 1 pole position and 1 podium is better than someone who has 4 championships. Yes, he makes a mistake here or there, but Vettel is a proven driver. He's an experienced driver. He's been in the sport for a decade and not just 1 season in a bit. He's the better driver of the 2, period.
Time.
Oh, that was good.
That was good. All I'm saying is I thought I was sat amongst Martin Luther King then. Imagine a world. I've got to give it to Nick, I'm sorry.
Yeah, no,
Yes.
It's 1-1 now.
1-1.
I've got to
Monegasque wasn't
accept
enough.
that. Monegasque wasn't enough.
Nick's motivational speech has taken him through.
Never
Right.
looking back now.
And that's 1-0.
I'm coming back next week
All up
with
for play in
more
week 3.
energy, more passion, more desire. You're not getting away
You
with
need
this.
more than some fancy words. That's all
Well,
I'm saying, Adam. Anyway,
Well done, Nick.
Nick takes week 2. It's 1-0. Who will win next week? Leave us your thoughts down below. Right, gentlemen. I think that's all we've got time for this week. But thank you for joining me. It's been another wonderful episode.
Thank you, Joe. I've enjoyed it.
Thank you, Joe.
Well, hopefully we won't hear too much from Adam about McLaren next week. But if you have
Please.
any questions for us or do want to join the Formula 1 Fantasy League, leave your comments down below and we'll do our best to answer them next week. Hopefully you've all enjoyed episode 2 of The Undercut. We'll see you next time.
Bye.
Ciao.
Valtteri, it's James.